Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for having me back. So yeah, my name is Rebecca Jane Brown, and like Will, I love books. And this time in particular is a great time to do some reading. So I've got a couple of books here that I recommend. The first one is called Snug, and this is by Katana Comics. And it's basically a huge comic about love, all the small things that you don't tend to notice within a relationship. Now I mention this right now because lots of us, including myself, are entirely alone during lockdown and missing our loved ones dearly. So looking through this has made me feel a lot better. Just reminds you of, as I said, the small things that you don't realise you're missing within a relationship. So yeah, get a copy of that if you can. Not too much reading, more looking through. The next one is a book I adore, and it's called The Things You Can Only See When You Slow Down by Hanem Sunim. I hope I've said that right. And this book in particular has been a lifesaver over the years. You know that feeling when you can pick up a book and talk about it for hours, and you have to condense it into 20 seconds? It's just a lovely book about life, recognising the small but wonderful things within the life we live in, and teaching us to sort of appreciate the smaller things in life. One thing I love about this book is it's more or less like therapy in a way. It's so calming to read through, but the best thing, especially at this time, is that you don't have to read it from cover to cover. You can leave it on your desk, you can leave it by your bedside table and dip into it whenever you need, like a breath. You need something to sort of recenter you. So yeah, I recommend that. The next book is Noughts and Crosses by Malorie Blackman. Before lockdown, the BBC released the television show on this, something of which my friends and I have been waiting for more than a decade, so I'm exceptionally happy right now. But if you are somebody that knows nothing about the world of Noughts and Crosses, then this is obviously the first place to start. This is the first book in a long line of wonderful books by the wonderful Malorie Blackman. This book tackles the subject of race head-on in a way that not many other authors I've come across have done so, in recent years anyway. Some would describe it as a modern Romeo and Juliet. It's set in an alternate present day, so you've got the noughts and you've got the crosses, and they hate each other and yet they must coexist together. Seffi is a cross, Callum is a nought, and stuff ensues. I'm not doing it justice, I will summarise. Just read this. Even if you don't read any of the other books in the series, please read this one. The next book I have is called Zen by this author here. This is a similar book to this one, but it's slightly different and also has far more illustrations that I love. I really am one for illustrations. I can't help myself. But I mention this one specifically because although it's not lockdown related, I feel like it is a bit of a guidebook to processing lockdown in a weird way. In a different way to the other book, it sort of tells you how to live life to the fullest. How to appreciate things, it brings your attention to things that you're not necessarily aware of within the life you're living in. So from the perspective of going through lockdown, I think it's perfect. You also don't have to read this from cover to cover. That's another reason why it's fantastic. And the last book is Ivy and Abe by Elizabeth Einfield. Now, I mention this book because I haven't read anything quite like this in the last few years, and it sort of tackles the subject of narrative. It changes your perspective on chronological stories. It's almost like Elsewhere by Gabriella Zevin. Things go backwards rather than forwards. There's also different events that happen during the different timelines that don't necessarily connect together, but you sort of have to appreciate them for what they are. Hopefully this makes sense. I love it when a book comes along that sort of changes your idea on storytelling, which is why I recommend it. So there we go. Those are all the books that I recommend. Hope you enjoyed this. It's been nice to be back. Thank you ever so much, Will, and I will see you again. Bye-bye.